All right, let's talk about this because I'm pretty sure we've all been here. You hear about these tiny, simple habits, drink more water, wake up a little bit earlier, and you give them a try. But after a few days, it just feels, well, completely useless. Today, we're going to look at 7 habits that feel exactly like that until all of a sudden they don't. Right? This is the exact feeling. You're told, oh, just be consistent, but after 3 days of chugging water first thing in the morning, your life isn't magically better. Your stress is still there, procrastination is definitely still winning, and you're just standing there thinking, what is this even supposed to be doing? It feels like you're just going through the motions with absolutely zero results.
And that's the cycle, isn't it? You get this burst of motivation, you start a new habit, you see no immediate change whatsoever, and so you quit. It makes total sense. It feels like you're pushing a giant boulder uphill for no reason at all. But what if the problem isn't the habit itself, but what we expect to happen and when?
So this brings us to a really interesting idea. We tend to think that to make a real change, we need some massive surge of motivation or like superhuman discipline. But what if the real change that happens after 30 days of these tiny habits isn't about motivation at all? What if it's something way quieter?
Okay, so this is the absolute key right here. These habits, they aren't designed to make you try harder or to power through. Their secret is that they slowly, almost invisibly, start chipping away at all the friction in your life. They lower the mental barriers that make starting things or focusing or just feeling calm so darn difficult. You're not adding a superpower, you're just removing the kryptonite.
All right, let's get practical. The first place these habits go to work is the most important part of your day, the morning. And this is all about switching from a reactive mode, waking up and immediately getting slammed with the world's demands, to a deliberate, controlled start.
Honestly, this one feels like the most pointless habit ever. Like, oh, water is gonna fix my procrastination? No. But think about what's really happening. When you wake up, your brain is dehydrated, it's foggy, it's craving a quick jolt of stimulation, which is why you immediately reach for your phone. By drinking water first, yeah, you're fighting the brain fog, but more importantly, you're creating a tiny, deliberate pause. It's the first conscious choice you make all day, not just a reflex.
And that leads right into this next one. No phone for the first 10 minutes. The difference here is huge. On the left, you're starting your day being bombarded by what everyone else wants from you. You're immediately behind. But after a few weeks of this habit, you get what's on the right. Your brain gets a chance to warm up. The first week, yeah, it feels like torture. But what you're actually doing is training your brain. You're teaching it to lead the day, not just react to it.
So you've started to rewire your morning. How do you keep that feeling going into your workday? Well, these next few habits are designed to take on the 2 biggest enemies of getting things done: that awful dread of starting and the mental chaos that just drains your energy.
Now look how simple this is. So often we go to bed with our minds just racing, juggling a million different things we have to do. Our brain never really gets to shut off. By just writing down 3 specific things, you're basically giving your brain permission to log off for the night. And the result? You wake up without that heavy, what do I even do feeling. The decision is already made. You've beaten procrastination before you've even had your coffee.
The 5-minute start rule. This is such a game changer. It works for everything. Starting a report, cleaning the kitchen, going for a run. Here's the secret. Our brains don't actually hate the work itself. They hate the friction of starting it. A big task feels overwhelming. But literally, anyone can do something for just 5 minutes. And the magic is, that simple act breaks through all the inertia. Getting started is like 80% of the battle.
This one is all about removing friction from your environment. And listen, you do not have to clean your entire house. Just pick one small surface, your desk, maybe one shelf, a countertop. See, physical clutter is constantly, quietly draining your mental energy. By creating just one tiny pocket of order, you send a signal to your brain that this is a space for focus. It just makes sitting down to work that little bit easier.
Okay, so we've tackled the morning, we've tackled the workday. Now let's go a layer deeper and talk about the habits that work on your internal state. The anxiety, the stress, and the promises you break to yourself.
This seems like such a tiny, insignificant change in wording, but the mental shift is massive. When you tell yourself, I'll do it later, your brain just hears never. It's not a real plan. It just becomes another thing to feel guilty about. But when you give it a specific time, I'll do it at 7 p.m. today, it becomes a real commitment. And when you start doing this, you slowly begin to rebuild trust with yourself. You actually start doing the things you say you're gonna do. I love this one. A 10-minute walk,
No music, no podcasts, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. Now, it can feel super uncomfortable at first because that silence forces everything to the surface. But that's the whole point. Your brain needs downtime to process things, to solve problems in the background, and to sort through stress. After about a week of this, you'll start to have these little moments of clarity, or you'll suddenly figure out something you've been stuck on. You're just giving your mind the space it desperately needs to do its job.
So, what's the real story here? What actually happens when you string all these quiet, seemingly useless habits together for a month? Because none of them feel like a big deal on their own. There's no training montage with epic music playing. The change is way more subtle than that.
This timeline is just so real. For the first couple of weeks, you will absolutely be wondering if any of this is doing anything at all. You might even forget why you're bothering. But then, somewhere around that 30-day mark, you just kind of notice it. You'll start a task without that usual internal fight. You feel a little less on edge. Your thoughts might feel a bit clearer. It's not a lightning bolt, it's just a quiet shift in how you feel.
And this, right here, is the punchline to this whole thing. The goal was never to magically become a motivated person. The goal was to become a person who just faces less internal friction every day. These habits didn't add some new quality to you. They just removed the barriers that were already there, holding you back.
So how do we actually put this into action? Let's bring this all together into one simple final step.
Here they are, all 7 habits again. But instead of thinking of them as these massive life changers, let's reframe them. Let's call them life stabilizers. They aren't supposed to create these dramatic highs. They're just supposed to build a stable, solid foundation so that you can operate a little more easily every single day. And this is the most important part of all. Do not try to do all 7 of these at once. That is a guaranteed recipe for failure. The real challenge here is to just pick one single habit from that list, and commit to doing just that one thing for the next 30 days. Don't worry about being perfect, just focus on showing up.
And I just want to leave you with this final thought. We're always told that self-improvement is about adding more discipline, more hustle, more skills. But what if it's really an act of subtraction? What if the real goal isn't to build some brand new version of you, but to just gently remove the resistance, the friction, and the noise, so that the person you already are can finally come through?